How's it going, people? Jack here with another video. So I've done it again. I've gone and pulled out the green screen back there. I even busted out the good old mic, and I have some bullet points to talk about today, because today or tonight, depending on whatever it is that I'm done editing this video, I want to make a point. See, artificial tools are transforming the way that people are finding information on the internet, and this change is happening faster than anybody can adapt to, especially the people who publish the information that we consume. For you see, when users question chatbots rather than using the search engines that already were poisoning the web, they are given answers rather than links to follow. This is changing the economy of the internet, and in particular that of the providers. They who used to spend money on gathering information, hiring experts, analyzing said information, do test, check, double check, and sometimes even triple check, and finally publish stuff, can no longer monetize on this model. With AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Grok, this is true, have now replaced the human curated recommendations and answers that one used to get. The primary online sources have also been cut off, and this drift away from trusted news sources has people placing a growing faith in AI systems which they now deem to have some degree of authority. Now, on this channel, you would have heard me repeatedly say that you need to trust the science and the data, but don't ever do so blindly, for there is such thing as the fallacy of authority, which is simply when a claim is accepted as being true simply because an authority figure or an expert made it. That's not how things work. Yes, you need to have a degree of faith in the authority figures or the expert, but don't just do so blindly. Again, reiterating myself. It counts doubly so, however, when it comes to these tools, because they are merely mimicking authority. They don't have any critical thinking skills. They scrape the internet for answers, offering you a mixture of good and bad. But the difference between them and a real human being is that they offer zero accountability. So what I offer to do today is to have an overall look at AI slop for research purposes, from how it is used in research and science, the economic aspect of it, and the promises that were made by its leading figures, at least in the AI industry, the environmental aspect of it, and the arts part of things, because that is also very, very freaking important. And we might conclude this entire thing with, I don't know, the human consequences. And so kicking us off, we have the channel Kurzgesagt here, who has been the subject of a lot of AI slop copies. For if you've been roaming enough of the internet, you would know that a lot of science communicating channels have had the likeness, the voice, and even the work just blatantly copied and regurgitated without even catching the essence of the content by some minor AI slop channels. I do believe that last year and the year prior to that, I did cover some video by the YouTuber Kyle Hill, who talked vehemently about that. And he has also some very exciting videos about how to probably combat AI in a bit more of a radical manner. But Kurzgesagt, being one of the bigger channels here on YouTube, is of course not an exception to this infestation. So we're going to be checking out first what they have to say about this. So consider this video to be somewhat half of a react video, commentary, and also dive into the AI slopification of the internet.
Our 12,026 human era calendar just dropped, and this year is extra special. Stay tuned until the end for the reveal, or head straight to the shop to get yours. AI slop is saturating the internet, and things are becoming dramatic pretty quickly. In an online world where money is made with attention, fake users spread their slop in review sections, generate fake traffic, or poison discourse. AI has supercharged this and made slop much harder to spot. Today, about half of internet traffic is bots. The majority of them are used for destructive purposes.
Yeah. I didn't think it was that much, but it might as well be. For I don't know how many of you were in tune with the like mid-2010s era, because I do believe that that is where the rise of the term dead internet theory started rising, right? You had such things as the fallout to the election with Trump and so on, the implications of Cambridge Analytica from the side of Meta, or at least now known Meta, formerly known Facebook. Facebook, which has been overstating its reach and misrepresenting its data for years now. They were even faced with a class action lawsuit that claimed that Facebook were overstating their reach from 150 to 400%, wherein Facebook reported by saying that they only did that by 60 to 80%. So it's not like ChatGPT or so were the originators for this, but they obviously have made it so much worse, because a lot of people are now being fooled by things that are not just like NLX attacks, like the network's learning ones. So it's straight up people who are masquerading, or people, wow, I even fall for saying that, AI masquerading as people, so to incite everything from theft to political discourse to even violence. And what is sad is that they are infiltrating everything. You'll see that in your YouTube comment section, probably even in Kuskasat's very video right now. I'm certain that you will be able to spot some bots that would have replied to your replies. And sadly, even this very channel here has not been safe from that.
It's never been easier to make mediocre content. From the black hole of meaninglessness that is LinkedIn, low-effort short videos just engaging enough to hypnotize kids and fry their attention spans, to endless, soullessly rewritten books on Amazon. AI music is invading streaming platforms.
Oh yeah,
Google
that's
AI
true.
is summarizing websites instead of sending traffic to them. On YouTube, new channels publish long-form videos multiple times a week with AI-generated thumbnails, voices, and scripts. True crime, video essays, science, no space is safe.
The day that I really paid attention to that was actually not through YouTube. It was due to the fact that I like to draw, so I would sometimes take inspiration from sites like ArtStation, DeviantArt, or even Pinterest, of all places. And those are now all being inundated with AI slop. It's gotten to the point where I am constantly second guessing myself if an image that I'm clicking on is real or not.
We're in the golden era of soulless slop. And sadly, actual creative human work is used to train these AI models.
I am sorry that I'm stopping so much, but we need to talk about this one, because this one is kind of funny for the non-terminally online. This was kickstarted by ChatGPT actually, who made it so that the AI got the capability to generate Studio Ghibli style slop. And through doing that, which was the craziest thing, they got the biggest jump in user ever when they released that earlier this year. I think they jumped to like around 150 million users at the peak. It was insane. And of course, not to be undone, the very late bloomer of the AI companies, the company formerly known as Twitter, because I'm never gonna say the new name that it has, also unleashed this feature in Grok 4. And this of course allowed people to do the same slop again. And what is hilarious about this is that beside the fact that XAI is ruining the air quality of every single citizen in the city of Memphis while having worked to dismantle the EPA, who are supposed to be preventing this from happening, and is making people waste their time doing this AI slop stuff, is that Hayao Miyazaki hates AI with a passion. I do believe that he called it like a threat to humanity or something like that. And he like wishes scarlet rot on everybody who makes use of it. And I did not mistake my Miyazakis here. This is a running joke on the channel because we also do like to refer to Michael Zaki.
Every Reddit comment, original YouTube video, or human drawing on DeviantArt has been sold out to the AI companies.
Sometimes
or
stolen.
straight up stolen by them, without attribution or payment to the actual creators.
Yeah.
Creative theft on a scale where it's impossible to protect against it, already putting loads of creatives' work in danger, so AI companies can get rich. While this is sad and frustrating, what's even worse is that generative AI truly has the potential to break the internet irreversibly, by making it harder and harder to tell what's true. At first, AI looked great.
Given that they mentioned Reddit there and questioning what is true or not, there was an attempt of testing this on Reddit. which is the craziest thing. I believe that it was the University of Zurich who wanted to find out if AI-generated comments and or bots in subreddit comment sections would actually be able to change people's minds. But the approach that they made to finding that was branded as being the worst research ethics ever conducted, like period. Because the researchers went on a subreddit called Change My Mind or something like that, Change My Views, wherein in the course of 4 months, they posted over thousands of AI generated comments so to incite people to make certain responses. And that's the thing, they were coercing people and actually not being genuine about anything, because first and foremost they were bots and not real people, and it was just wrong. They were straight up rage baiting people into talking about DEI, political violence, what was it, migration, like stuff like that literally will incite people to lose their mind. And this was done by a university of all places.
A Kurzgesagt script starts with basic research that's turned into a script and then fact-checked in depth by 2 to 3 people. We try to confirm our info with what we deem trustworthy, ideally first-hand sources, ideally papers. Then we get 1 to 3 experts for input and critique. Fact-checking and compiling our sources alone takes around 100 hours per video. Of course, we make mistakes or oversimplify, and you can disagree with our conclusions.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. We've been there. That was in fact a video of theirs wherein I did share my 2 cents and reacted to it. And I think as late as yesterday, I got a comment about it telling me that, yeah, I got the full picture. Like, it's not something that I necessarily want to take pride in, but obviously they can make mistakes. And as I said before, the thing with accountability is that they actually went and fixed it. But to the point that I made in the introduction of this part of the video, I can kind of understand it, because I too, believe it or not, have made use of AI tools to get summaries of research papers that were hundreds of pages long. I am a physics graduate who is currently not studying to get a higher degree, so getting those quick and fast summarizations are pretty nice, because yeah, at some point I was lazy too. So on that satisfactory aspect of doing research, I guess that I can't blame a person to be doing that for curiosity purposes so that they can learn something. But the issue for me, I will say, is that not reading through multiple sources to help you work out answers is a problem. And especially because the publishers of said research, which the AI is feeding onto, ultimately end up suffering from it. As an example, I've gotten the habit of making videos that will be akin to that of video game journalists, right? Who are always citing the news sources, and especially when it comes to specialist publications to back up their claims. So when I see something like the Financial Times, which is one of those sites with a very loyal subscriber base, lose about 21% of their traffic, they then attribute that decline to primarily the implementation of such things as Google's AI overview, then you know that things are bad. And then you have Google, this huge monopoly who's trying to strong-arm even the likes of Apple to make their search engine the default in their devices, and make it so that publishers need to accept AI scraping so to even be seen in the first place, you know that things are cooked.
It's unavoidable. We're only human after all. But it is fair to say that our process is extensive, and after a decade, we know what we're doing.
Hey.
When AI appeared, we were very excited. A mechanical brain able to super quickly collect information. So we went to work, and it looked amazing. And then we started fact-checking. We didn't expect it to be perfect, but it was way worse than we thought. Confidently incorrect. AI is so bad at this. We'll summarize and generalize our experiences over multiple projects and months condensed into one fake project. A video about why brown dwarfs are the worst and should be ashamed of themselves. So we got all the pro accounts of all the AI models and got to work, using deep research tools to create a summary and overview of all the information about the failed star's brown dwarfs. And wow, it was great. Dozens of pages of outlines with unique information nuggets and links to sources. Then we started to look deeper.
Yeah.
More than 80% of the info and factoids were pretty solid, and we could reconstruct where they were from. Wikipedia, papers, legit articles.
Right.
What about the rest? It was great stuff, like the speed of brown dwarf superstorms, the nature of their insides, or how disappointed their mums are. But we couldn't find where the AI got this info from, which is not automatically a bad sign. After all, the models contain pretty much all the internet and books ever written. So
Well.
we asked experts for input, and they flagged the exact same facts, even asking where we found it.
That's where it comes in. Okay, this is going to sound slightly psychotic, but I have a 30-page long Google Docs, Google document on AI that cataloged a lot of the things that have been happening since 2024. And there is this source from The Economist, I do believe, that shows that news and media are obviously very much affected by this, but science and education and reference sites, especially like the wikis that you will use for either gaming or just Wikipedia as a whole, are so much worse. Let's not even talk about sites that deal with health information, because that is just crazy. This is the thing that led to AI telling people that they need to eat a certain amount of rocks every single day to maintain a balanced diet.
For its goal to make us happy, the AI had invented or extrapolated information to make brown dwarfs more interesting than they really are.
Yeah.
Like a bad journalist making up details to make a story hit harder or fit a narrative. Now we wanted to know more and dove in deeper, reading the seemingly more solid sources the AI had given us in full. One was an article from a news site written by a human journalist. Or was it? It had a very familiar structure and, surely purely coincidentally, read like what you get if a human slightly changes AI wording.
Are you kidding me? They apply the fact-checking AI stuff that we have in schools today to check out for students when they are either plagiarizing something and or making use of AI, because AI has a very clear pattern of delivering information and the constant usage of certain words.
An AI essay detection tool gave it a 72% match. So an AI article without sources used as a credible source for AI research. Which makes sense, since in 2025 there were already well over 1,200 confirmed AI news websites publishing massive amounts of AI-generated misinformation and false narratives. This mix of correct, dubiously sourced and straight-up made-up information also leads AI to present really shoddy conclusions that sound strong or novel but are often half-truths or misrepresentations.
Oh no, the Onion has a challenger. Well, 1,200 or so challenges.
Oh well, we salvaged what we could and went back to the drawing board. And after a few weeks, it happened. By pure stupid chance, we saw a brown dwarf video popping up by a relatively new channel. It had hundreds of thousands of views and was pretty good, nice footage, great editing. But we'd seen the structure and rhythm before, and would you look at that? It contained all the brown dwarf facts we'd flagged as unreliable or straight up made up by AI.
Of course.
This is where the death of the internet begins. Now there's a proper source of brown dwarf misinformation online. When the next AI repeats the same research, it will find a transcript from a video with a lot of views.
And feed on itself.
Misinformation is now true. It will spread. Even before AI, it was pretty hard to find the origin of facts that sound great but are not true. Just watch our video about a 100-year-old lie. As AI use goes on, it may become impossible to know what's true or not. The most corrosive lie. The problem with AI is how trustworthy it seems.
Yeah.
How it's correct enough to seem super smart and how incredibly confidently incorrect it is.
That's why they've been designed for. It is not made to curate information, so to give you the most accurate response possible. Like, for example, on social media, like, for example, with Grok, right? I've seen a lot of people hailing it for being quote unquote, I'm gonna use the word here that is kind of annoying, but woke for just agreeing with them, and of course annoying Elon Musk to acknowledge him. I absolutely love it. I think it's hilarious that he keeps on fighting against his own AI and at the end of the day tries his best to turn it into Mecha Hitler. But even praising the AI for doing that is not good. While the AI may agree with you, it is not always correct, so do not take that as your main source of information. They exist there so to make sure that you get a satisfactory enough answer so that you stick around, and then eventually they manage to sell you ads.
Actually lying to your face, often very subtly. When you catch it lying, it immediately admits it, vows to never do it again, and then
does it again.
As eloquent as current language models feel, there's nobody home.
Yeah.
No greater intelligence or consciousness is talking back to you. Current AI is a very complex hammer that doesn't understand what it's doing or what nails are. But we're letting it add new shelves to the library of human knowledge. AI is changing quickly, so this may get better, but right now, it's pretty grim.
Yeah.
Way too many people blindly trust AI. Studies looked into the language of millions of scientific papers published before and after the rise of large language models. They found
that's
an
a
abrupt
change.
and sharp increase in the frequency of words that AIs like to use. So it seems clear that now a significant portion of papers have been at least assisted by AI, usually without acknowledgement. And just in July 2025, it was discovered that a number of researchers had started to sneak hidden messages into their papers. In white text, or too small for the human eye, they prompted AIs to review them positively and not point out flaws. As more and more people are using AI carelessly, the library of human knowledge is getting less and less reliable. Which brings us to the last part: how are we using AI? And will Kurzgesagt survive the AI slop age? Will AI slop kill Kurzgesagt and artists?
No.
On the internet, there's only one truly valuable resource: human attention. If current trends continue, it's not that far-fetched that cheap slop content, stuff just good enough, will soak up the majority of human attention. It could make us dumber, less informed, our attention spans even worse, increase political divides, and make us neglect real human interaction.
Oh yeah.
If AI eats the majority of the attention pie, channels like ours will become unfeasible, or forced to downsize or use AI themselves to be able to compete. We don't want to play this game. How will we use AI? Like the Align tool in Adobe Illustrator. If you have a bunch of boxes and you want to line them up, you can do this manually one by one, or you can just select them, click Align, and have them perfectly aligned in an instant. It's the same with AI programming tools for animation, or using it as a faster Google alternative.
Yeah, occasionally I would use, when editing thumbnails or whatever for this, the autofill tool. It is immensely useful, despite Adobe being incredibly expansive and sucking ass. I can't deny that a lot of the tools can be pretty useful.
AI is a helpful tool, but the creativity and integrity is still ours. So, dear Internet, here is what we're offering to you. Kurzgesagt is made by humans, for humans, and it will remain that way. We'll produce well-researched content and invest a lot of time and our human creativity in our illustrations and animations. Put our creative soul into our work. We'll continue to fact-check and discuss our research with human experts to give you the most trustworthy information that we can. When we make mistakes, they will be our mistakes. We would rather quit than make AI slop. But to go on, we need your support. Kurzgesagt is almost 70 full-time people and a lot of freelancers on top. This is a lot of salaries, software licenses, laptops, rent, and coffee.
I will leave a link to the calendar in the description below if you want to check it out yourself. But one of the things that already makes me enjoy this quite a bit is that it is art made by a human being. But we're going to wait for that one for a little bit because we need to jump into the economics part of this stuff. For I know that the vast majority of you who have clicked on this video will have certainly come here for one specific reason: Sora 2. This is OpenAI's latest video generations model. More physically accurate, realistic, controllable, that that's questionable, and able to spew out more hyper-personalized AI slop to everyone who got the code to consume it. It has generated anime, cartoon, to fake security footage of the company CEO trying to steal GPUs. That one is actually funny. There's model scattering for everyone. I've seen some stuff from like Tupac with featuring Biggie on the podcast, them driving in a Tesla with like a weird ass hand lying there showing you that once again these things are not perfect despite their uncanny nature.
What's up, cameras rolling? We got the whole game watching. And all they want is this crisp refreshment right here.
Ice cold Pepsi.
Digital necromancy. Just to sell out. Wow. There's been ones where he roams around Cuba with Fidel Castro, Michael Jackson, and even Bruce Lee. Like, a race between Tupac and Kobe Bryant. The stuff that these things are spewing out are fucking insane. But here's the thing. When these models were rolled out, there was an intent to them. To make them safely work for people, to include them in workplaces, businesses, schools, for research, turn them into assistant tools that will help strengthen every facet of society. They even had a summit, Sommet pour l'action de l'IA, that's in French, because there we invert the words, so like it's intelligence artificielle, it doesn't matter. In it, they were talking about all of the magnificent things that AI was going to accomplish, help cure cancer, help with climate change and the such. And then came the man of 100 faces and 100 varying head sizes, Baby Vance, who said, pardon my French and I'm paraphrasing here, fuck them regulations.
Is this nigga serious?
And lo and behold, soon after the integration of so many of the AI tools into so many fields, again, I'm not arguing that there aren't places where AI are genuinely useful, for they definitely are, but when this integration started happening in mass, people started feeling that something was wrong here. As an example, because of this reckless approach, a lot of companies have rushed into half-baked AI implementations and fired competent workers to reduce cost. The result is that companies now are regretting their AI-driven layoffs, with at least 55% of companies regretting making that decision. Banks that fired workers in favor of chatbots, one of the most typical implementations, are now rehiring them due to the hallucination that these bots are having. Famously, the creator of the dangerous business model Klarna CEO was laying off his employees so to cut cost. Well, he is now begging for them to come back. And I'm certain that a lot of you have seen ways to bypass the chatbots at fast food chains.
Hi, welcome to Taco Bell. What can I get started for you today?
Can I get 18,000 water cups, please?
Okay. What can I get for you?
When the actions of a Mario brother, allegedly, brought to attention the fact that AI systems are now deciding who gets to get medical care, loans, jobs, and the fact that the very businesses who are providing companies with these AIs were getting in bed with a continuously ridiculously incompetent administration just so that they could lobby against regulation for the artificial intelligence for the next decade, bruv. What were they thinking would happen? For in return of the trust that people put in these models, they were given slop. Which forces me to ask but one question. Give me one reason for this to exist. Because the whole business model for this was that the economy is not doing great, so let us help you fix that at a fraction of the cost with our AI models. We're going to do this, we're going to cure cancer, we're going to bring super intelligence by 2030, we're going to be... Wait, what the fuck is Sam Altman saying?
It does. I was really struck by that. I was like, this looks like the motherboard of a computer.
Yeah, which is kind of wild.
That a lot of the world gets covered in data centers over time. Maybe we build a big Dyson sphere on the solar system and say, hey, it actually makes no sense to put these on Earth.
Well, this man was saying nothing at all. All that he was planning was to market his AI slop to people and get first in the race. As a further example, just a couple of weeks ago, Meta released Vibes, a new feed where you can create AI-generated short-form videos, which, to quote them, make it easier for you to find creative inspiration. They are creating social media networks where everything is AI generated. Even the AI late bloomer and never to be undone Elon I'm off my meds Musk joined the chat by making his Gooner AI able to generate non-safe for work content because he needed to diversify the output and its capabilities. And even TikTok of all places had, what was it called, Symphony or something of the sort, had jumped on that bandwagon too. Everyone is betting on AI TikTok, and let's just call it what it really is, slop talk. And you could think to yourself that this ends there. At least we have a saving grace of this very platform where you're watching me talk to you. No, YouTube announced the magic of the new creative tools as VO3, the image generating model, will then be incorporated in the shorts. So like you can get your human right now and the AI slop right next to it. Isn't it great? I regret doing that. I've heard people refer to this current situation as the death and the fury, as we quickly brushed off in the reaction part of the video. But I don't think that this is it. This is where it was. We are like in the zombie internet apocalypse of like World War Z, and our only weapon of survival is our big iron. And by that I mean our mental fortitude, because it's only going to get worse from here until proper regulation get put in motions. Because the only thing that stands in the way of a complete collapse of the web right now, much like in the World War Z movie, for which I kind of wanted to make use of that Israeli wall as a comparison, but I don't quite know if that is a proper similitude to make use of here, is accessibility. Remember the aforementioned ChatGPT and that Ghibli moment? Yeah, about 150 million users were the peak of that thing, because once it was made available, people just started flooding into it. And as of now, people can only access the likes of Sora 2 through invitations. And it's good, because I really hate it. It has only been 2 months or so since that we saw payment processing firms as well as government put a stranglehold on companies to make sure that they can catch your informations. And now people are willingly giving away their informations, facial scans and voices away to Sam Altman, and to quote the Skibbity Altman himself,
people don't even realize they're handing over their face scans to us for free.
Listen, OpenAI has a nearly $1 trillion build out to do as they please. 850 billion to be exact. That's a lot of money. Money which they are now pouring into AMD. For yeah, it wasn't enough for them to be trying to steal all of the CUDA capabilities of Nvidia GPU. The company which, by the way, is ruining the gaming industry by making cards that focus on AI and incentivizes dance studios and people to use and misuse faulty engine. OpenAI have made it so that companies are now feeding them more computing power and are reliant on promises they have made from money that they, by the way, need to make this very clear. The $850 billion that is reaching almost $1 trillion there is exactly what it is, a build out. They don't have the money. They are capitalizing on Silicon Valley's attitude of fake it till you make it, and are hoping, fingers crossed, that by 2030 they actually achieve their goals, which I betcha they are not going to. And at the end of the day, the only one who are left suffering from this economically are you, the user, and you whose electricity bill has gone up twice the amount or even thrice over just the last couple of years. And this brings us straight into the environmental impact of these things, because oftentimes when new technology that is exploding on a massive scale happen, a question that you have got to ask yourself is it even ethical to be creating any of this? What is the damage that this is causing? Obviously, there's the aforementioned electricity bill that are going up. There's the air pollution that I mentioned there in cities like Memphis. But what's even more important to check out is the entire cycle of the production of these things, because much like electric car, we need to look at the life cycle of AI, such as the crap ton of silicon and gallium that it takes to make these parallel processes, and the manufacturing and driving toll that using a crap load of water is actually taking. And in this case, we have an estimated 1.2 billion cubic meters of water every single year that just get used to build these things. No. How does that compare to other industries, huh, you AI hater? I bet that is one of the questions that an AI bro who accidentally stumbled on this video might be asking me right now. And to you, AI bro, first, hi. Thank you for making it so far into the video. Second, in comparison to one of the biggest sinners here in terms of water usage, the agricultural industry, and especially here in the US because of the high demands of water to water the lawns of American plains. It's insane the amount of water that you use to water your grass. It's not even close. I pulled out data from this site called Bryant Research, which estimated that the global water usage in agriculture is at least 2.5 trillion liters of water every day. It's not even close in favor of the manufacturing of AI hardware, as the users of water here accounts for less than 0.1% of what agriculture makes use of. But when it comes to the actual usage of these data centers, then we're talking about something completely different, because processing the data itself is the thing that raises the electricity. These companies, however, don't really want to disclose how much energy they spent on training their models, nor how much energy a prompt is worth every single time that a user is trying to chat with their AI waifus or husbando. But water to cool the data centers is something that we can calculate, and this is where a very popular estimate is always brought up to the forefront. One that states that the pool of groundwater, mind you, for AI usage will be that of 4 to 6 times that of my country right now by 2030. And it's fucking wild. Like, you didn't have to do us like that. I know that our country is already small, but come on. Ireland, as an example, is suffering right now as the tax status makes them an attractive place for AI companies to have their data centers. And about 17% of the energy consumption is solely from AI data centers. And despite the many promises that these AI companies have said, they are not using their computational power to make more energy efficient systems. Nor are they creating, more nuclear power plants that are more efficient. No, the vast majority of data centers make use of fossil fuel electricity, meaning that they are in fact not decarbonizing as they would promise that they would. But now, of course, in the aspect of fairness, I did find a positive report here that talked about how the carbon emissions of writing and illustrating are lower for AI than it is for human, where comparisons were made with the productivity and output of AI to that of humans who either were assisted with AI, wrote by themselves, and different criteria was taken into consideration. But overall, it showed that if you are actually trying to be productive and or were being assisted by AI, you would actually have a lower carbon footprint by making use of those tools. The problem here is that this is not what the vast majority of people are using these AI tools for. No, because what we've seen in mass right now is the proliferation of AI slop and the bastardization of art. I've been listening to a book by this wonderful gentleman here called John Dewey. It's called Art as an Experience, and in it he says that art has a unit, one that gives it its name. Actually, I'm going to need to read this verbatim. That meal, that storm, that rupture of friendship, the existence of this unity is constituted by a single quality that pervades the entire experience, in spite of the variation of its consistent parts. This unit is neither emotional, practical, nor intellectual, for these terms name distinctions that reflection can make within it. To put that in plain English, an experience, as he coins it, is a unit of emotional, intellectual, and practical. A person recounting the experience that they have had, the processes of actually feeling something, the reaction to said experience, will never live up to the unit itself. And therefore, when it comes to such things as para-content, this video is para-content. Content about content. From commentary to video essays to reaction videos and even shorts that are meant to catch your attentions. They come in varying degrees. This is something that we all indulge in, and often many of us only engage in content through the explanation and interpretation of other people. So when we do that, do we interact with content at all? Now, before we get into deep here and before you start feeling as if, oh, am I telling you that you should just click off? No, obviously not. I want you to watch the rest of the video. What I'm saying is that people should form their own opinion on subjects, whether they end up being good or whether they end up being dog shit. The goal here is to stave away the homogeneity that AI offers. As Dewey later on put it in his book, it is important to know the relationship and differences between the artistics, which is the process of making the art, and the aesthetics, which is that of enjoying the arts. Unfortunately though, AI robs away one's faculty to do either of the two. What is important is to create this variety that makes it so that we don't simply feed into the meal. I can't be the only one who just envisioned the windmill, can I? I guess that one of the things that I struggle with often is the realizations that the content that I am making could be classified as slop. I get to share some thoughts, I try to be insightful, and I try as best as I can to be transformative with the content I consume and react to. Over the last couple of years, I have actually tried to put in a lot of effort and put an emphasis on making the content more additive, the things that I discuss, the subjects that I cover, to make it so that the format kind of escapes the slop accusations. That it is a step, like to me, it is a way or a steps to making things better. It's not just a way to celebrate the originality of the actual content that is being reacted to, as an example, to spread it and also to make sure that it might inspire other people and myself to engage in more creative endeavors and to make things that feel unique, but it is to make sure that what is being consumed has some genuine intent behind it. I love making the video that I do, and I love seeing other people's imaginations go wild. And I cannot in good conscience say that slop is entirely bad, because it's not. I've gotten some joy in watching something incredibly stupid. But like everything, when it is consumed in excess, it becomes horrible. And especially when the slop is quote-unquote soulless and used to ape as many views as possible.
Now, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to have any jobs pretty soon. Like, I would definitely say, like, that's, you have the, what is that, the 9 leaving Minas Morgul. Like, oh, fuck, man. This is insane. And so you got Rivendell here. Yeah, so if you are an artist, this has been a really bad week for you. And I want to promise you that it's going to get worse. And I would focus on a career change. Yeah, exactly. And focus, like, go be a plumber or something like that. That means that you can sell your product at a lower price and you can beat the competition. So why are people going to go and buy products from American studios and American places when you can get the same thing in China or something like another game that's the same thing that's way cheaper?
I am sorry to having subjected you to that absolutely dogshit take. This is why I said that the art part might be one of the most important, because it's actually one that makes me slightly angry. There is some truth to the fact that greedy producers, publishers, you name a position of leadership in the arts, would much rather hoard all the money they can to make something cheap and ugly rather than paying talented artists to make something compelling and genuinely artsy. I know, it's a bit of a nebulous term here, but I'm trying to scope creep. They know that even if the project is less than profitable or accepted by the masses, they can keep pumping out more. And as we've already established, the reduction of critical thinking, coupled with the growing agreement that this behavior of creating AI slop is okay while abusing the art of other people, make the propagation of this slop more acceptable. Sometimes even they will hire someone who cares, someone with a portfolio that genuinely brings me to tears because of the fucking emotions that courses through my frame when I'm laying eyes on their work. Talking about the marathon cinematic there. But then they would still go ahead and steal art from someone else to facilitate their pipeline. It is a sickening cycle. But still, despite a system that sucks ass, I will still go back to the artist because there is a human intent behind it. As still, the work of an actual artist will be there for me to behold, for it to make me feel something. And hopefully that something is new. I don't know, the synchronous firing of new ways that my neurons have never light up together before. Whether it is from a shit post that makes me realize that games like Third Strike actually shape my taste in music, an artist extrapolating art from a judo throw, or health. I need to understand this. How the fuck do people manage to mix rap and metal so well? It blows my mind. Like, listen to this fucking soundtrack, man. How do you think of that? What makes all of this possible is the human mind behind it all, as this art is an extension of themselves, whether good or bad. This very subjective descriptor that qualifies content as being something that you ought to like or not is something that AI will never be able to replicate. This is why I instinctively feel good when I see artists like, let's say, Bebeno recently, who hired, 25 or so artists to make a song about ADD. Just the thought of mixing so many styles to talk about a song about that put a smile on my face instantly, because I know the intent. It is so to give you an experience that matters, not one that is simply there to be consumed. And if I may once again quote John Dewey, the enemy of the aesthetic are neither the practical nor the intellectual. They are the humdrum. Slackness of loose hand, submission to convention in practice and intellectual procedure, rigid abstinence, coerced submission, tightness on one side, anticipation, incoherence, and aimless indulgence on the other, are deviation in opposite direction from the unit of an experience. Again, to clarify, consuming AI slop will make you feel good temporarily, but like a gamer who is led on a wild goose chase to get a little bit of that taste that they initially got at the intro of a game that felt delightful but never get there, even after putting in hundreds of hours of gameplay. There is no depth. Yes, there is the occasional gorilla interview that might initially make you chuckle, but it really falls flat really fast, much like the AI Ghibli renditions of people's grok prompts. It's an insult to life itself. And that is even without mentioning the fact that AI artists, who often get mad when they're called out for liking AI art, like burglars who are breaking into a house then getting mad over the fact that you installed a security system, AI art is theft. There is no arguing against it. Like, I don't know, if companies are not willing to set up regulations for any of this, who's going to save us? OpenAI is making a fool of themselves, wanting copyright holders to opt out? Like, bruv, I don't know, man. Nintendo, let me take these off. Nintendo, I know that you haven't been the best company in terms of making good content for gamers and allowing the industry to innovate, but could you please do the funniest thing? Like, gosh, I miss it when feeds on art sites were made of real anime porn, drawn by disgustingly talented people. Now, all that I can say is slop.
Huh?
Alright, so this is clearly a little bit different. So I initially was going to be giving some of you the advice of going outside and touching grass, jokingly of course, but I did it myself. I went on a very long walk with my family and my daughter even made me a bracelet. Isn't it cute? Like, she's low-key good at this. Well, I guess this is a part where we are going to be talking about the human element of this, and it is going to suck. As I was heading back here, I got a notification from Hank Green, one of the Green brothers, who actually made a video about this very topic on AI, and he made a very nice analogy, one revolving around ghost towns and how they have been left behind without care, and how the sites that we all frequent are likely going to end up that way, especially with the proliferation of AI bots and now the advancements of these new large language models. It is going to be harrowing if we don't get regulation on this thing. Like, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer about AI constantly, okay? I would actually like this technology to be something that serves us well. There is this wonderful graph that I have showcased on the channel before, the Gartner's hype cycle, that kind of shows where we might be located at every single occasion that a revolutionary technology hits the market. It would be wonderful if we were heading towards the slope of enlightenment, but that is not within reach. I don't see that happening, because the very same people who could have set these AI models to be working on bettering our electric grids, bettering our ways of transportations, are the very same people who are constantly trying to reinvent the wheel, creating new tunnels or cars instead of actually making, I don't know, railroads better, and also driving up the electricity prices. And on the creativity aspect of things, which a lot of our media revolves around, we are going to be severely losing skills. The practice of making art, of developing new things, and not just having, let's say, an AI being vibe coding to produce some slop, is going to make us atrophy. Much like the muscles in our bodies, our brain needs to practice these things. We need to practice our creativity. We need to respond to certain things properly so that we maintain ourselves. I feel that this is kind of going to be taking away the joy of what it means to be human, the further we let this loose. Now, of course, there have been places that have tried to mitigate this to a certain degree. As an example, very much here in Denmark, there are already attempts of passing such by copywriting. Yeah, it is by copywriting our own features. It was due to the insane rise of deepfakes that were being done during the summer of last year that we actually decided to take that very seriously. And also in the US, I do believe that one of the very few executive orders that were actually being passed was one against deepfakes. But given the way that the government is operating right now, it's going to take 2 forevers for that to actually get into motion. Like, we are seriously going to be seeing a lot of evil stuff being done now. Like an example, Martin Luther King's daughter came forth because a lot of AI renditions of her dad doing stuff that she would not have wanted are being made right now.
I'm trying to see what that thing looked like from the back. Quit playing with a player.
It's so sad. And even for a person that I very much was feeling apathetic about recently, for which I actually might have a video coming up later on in the upcoming week, Charlie Kirk, during his eulogy or funeral, the way that people have been making AI renditions of him and using him in churches and or during that very same event. So fucking weird. Like, I might not like the guy, but I would be furious seeing my likeness used like that, commercialized. Because I'm dead? Because you can? Also, coming back to Bernice King, do you realize how bad things need to be to have a civil rights leader's child, or just a related person to the civil rights movement, showing forth and telling you that you are doing things wrong? Like, we're not talking about better rights than anybody else, not equal, just civil, okay? Civil. Like hell, from erosion of public trust to loss of creativity to, if these things keep getting better, what's gonna happen during like trials, the handling of evidence, given that people are now able to remove watermarks from those AI generated content? We're cooked. Yeah, I'm gonna drink my tea here and I'm gonna go to bed. Thank you for watching this thing. I am going to try to do a few of these every single month. This is my attempt of trying to catch up to a project that I have wanted to do for quite some time. We are likely going to be diving into more scientific subjects in the coming weeks if I get the time for that. There's a lot going on by the end of the year from both my and my partner's side, so hey, it'll be interesting how much content I managed to put out here, but still, I appreciate everybody who has actually wanted to lay eyes on this work, which is not just the typical content that I will put out. So wish you all to have a wonderful day. If you have a skill, try to strive and continue developing it, because we need you. I need you to be good at that. It gives me hope. Anyways, folks, see you guys in the next one. Bye.